Are we live?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Let
says,
me let me go live on Instagram. Hey y'all.
hey, this stream is live. It feels
Yeah,
good to be back. It does. It's
it
been a while.
does. I know, right? Okay, hold on. Let's see. I'm supposed to hit go live and then I think I'm supposed to hit like mute or something. Here we go. Oh shoot. Okay, mute. All right. So if y'all are just joining, or of course everybody's just joining, we're trying out this new thing where StreamYard lets you go live on Instagram too. So yeah, we're playing around with that. And
You are
I
live on
yes,
Instagram.
yes. Oh, we are? We
Yeah.
did it? Yay, we did it. Hey everybody. I'm gonna put my little glasses on because I have a bit of camera fatigue today. And I also did not test out my volume, Jason. Let me just do
It's
this.
all good. Let me make sure. Yeah, we're both in there. Yeah,
You sound fine.
it's got the double, the wide screen on Instagram, but we're there.
Look at us with our technology. So
You
you can
did it.
actually you can see us on Instagram.
Yes, side by side. Not the normal top bottom, but side by side.
All right, as long as you can see us, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Ooh, it feels like a Monday. It is a Tuesday. Um, maybe I'm hot because I got this turtleneck on. I'm like, I can't get myself together. I should have been all nice and comfortable like
Yeah.
you. It was
Yeah, I
so
took
cold.
it easy today. I said, let me throw on a t-shirt.
Oh my gosh, I should have did that because like now I was comfortable earlier. Now I'm hot. All right. Hey y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Put my little glasses on so I don't have camera fatigue. And I guess we can introduce ourselves to the people.
Yes. There we go. You want to start first?
Yeah, I'll start. So I'm Dr. RJ, licensed clinical psychologist and corporate burnout strategist. I help executives eliminate stress, anxiety, and burnout so that they can live their best balanced lives. And also, I'm really big on balance, the art of balance from my framework, which includes authenticity, relentless rest, and time consciousness. I am excited to be back with you all. So what's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah, it's been a while. So welcome. I am Jason Phillips, licensed therapist, confidence expert, and host of the Peace and Prosperity podcast. I help individuals eliminate self-doubt and live their lives more authentically. So welcome, y'all.
I love me some authenticity. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
Whew, because
Gotta
it
have it.
saves. Oh shoot, I was supposed to sit up some more. Okay, no, you stay like that. I'm gonna get my other pillow because I can't be all like low sitting
Oh,
down. Then I'm vertically challenged. And my chair, it goes up, but it doesn't go like up, up, up. Anyhow, I have a pillow.
it's all
So
good.
yeah, we're this is me being
Oh, are
all
we live on Facebook too?
yeah, we live on all the things.
Okay, let me share it on Facebook.
All right, I'm sitting up now. Oh, this is good and it's comfortable. Whew. Yeah, I should probably share, but okay, whatever.
It's all good. I see you. I just shared it.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for taking care of me. All
Yeah.
right, y'all. So let's jump into this thing. So our topic for tonight, um, there has been some billionaires around saying that DEI must die. And so we decided that as mental health professionals that we wanted to give our input on this, not necessarily from a business perspective, but of course mindset and all of that has to do with business, but we wanted to give our psychological perspective on all of this, and also to make sure that you leave with some strategies and tips on what to do when you're faced with this comment. So I'll start with my rant. and I wrote a couple things down because we don't have a long time. Let me just stay on track because I can talk about this stuff all day. All right. So why this is important to me. So as a corporate burnout strategist, clinical psychologist, I work a lot with ERG groups, which are employee resource groups. And Jason, I know you do burnout work as well with corporations, affinity groups. And so this is like perfect for both of us to talk about. So again, why are we even talking about this? Why are two clinicians, mental health professionals talking about this DEI must die thing? So what I want to do is give you some background on what an ERG group is. Other names for ERG groups, your company may call it a BRG group, your company may call it an affinity group, or they may call it an employee network. So the reason that this is so important to me is because the work that I do with ERG groups really does make a difference. Like when I think about the courses that I do, the master classes that I do, the trainings that I do with ERG groups, they make a difference in the lives of the employees participating. So they get more promotions, the imposter syndrome goes away, there's more self-esteem, they change the trajectory of the lives of their family just by being able to get a type of training that pours into them and reminds them of exactly who they really are. And so when I see this DEI is dead thing, it's a little bit more than rhetoric to me. It's kind of like a threat to all of the work that has been done. So Jason, I was looking, I was like, okay, I want to stay on track. So let me look a few things up. And so I wanted to look up the history of ERG groups. Like, when did they start? Of course, we know the reason, we know why they're relevant, and we'll talk about that. But the history, it started in the 1960s when, in response to racial tensions in the US. It's 2024, there are still racial tensions in the US. Let me just go ahead and make that clear. And so along with Black employees, the CEO of Xerox came up with the idea at the time because of the race riots in Rochester, New York. Rochester, New York was the headquarters of the Xerox company at that time. Now, this particular CEO of Xerox, I'm sure he is an amazing person, but the reason that this was formed was because this type of racial tension was impacting the bottom line, right? The numbers, yes.
Yeah.
So again, I wasn't there. I wasn't born until 1979, but I wasn't there when it happened. But I'll tell you from what I know as a clinical psychologist, what I know about people, what I know about companies, is that the numbers really get people moving and taking action. It's rarely some sort of, oh, my heart feels this way. It's about the bottom line. It's just how it is. So anyhow, the CEO of Xerox came up with the idea of affinity groups, and it started out with Black people in the company. Now, the goals of the affinity groups, the ERG groups, the BRG groups, was to discuss their experiences, to advocate for change, and to make the issues known. Because often, if you think about it, if you're not a member of a certain group, then there are things you just don't know. There are things about the Pan-Asian community I just don't know. There are things about the LGBTQTIA plus community that I just don't know. And so the affinity groups were started to be more informative to the leaders of the companies, so that they could do a better job with their employees, and basically they could keep making money.
Got it.
Okay.
I think that's important. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna go in and break down the definition when we think about DEI. So looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion separately, because I think sometimes we get confused about just what does that mean and what does it entail.
Yep.
So plainly, when you think about the definition of diversity, you want to think about variety. So now we're looking at different age groups, we're looking at different races, we're looking at different ethnic backgrounds, we're looking at different political affiliations, we're looking at different genders. That's what we mean when we use the term diversity.
Can I stop you?
Go ahead.
I'm like in rare form tonight, so I'm going to be all over the place. Let me just warn you. So this is the thing. So I'm a July Cancer. I research everything down to the T. Just FYI, like that's what we do. So I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, I know that when I work with BRGs, ERGs, affinity groups, that it's not just a bunch of Black people getting together saying you can't sit with us. That's not what it is. And so I'm like, let me look at the numbers because I'm a data girl, right? I want to know the numbers. I want to know what's actually happening. And so I looked up the numbers, and the 10 most common types of affinity groups or ERG groups or BRG groups, I'm going to give them to you in the order of commonality and occurrence in the companies in the US. All right, you ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Number one, women. Not Black women, not what, just women in general. That's the number one affinity group as we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, it's number one. So
I lead a women's group, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that sink in.
Yeah.
Number two is LGBTQIA plus. The third is disabilities. I think we forget about that, and we don't realize that disabilities fall into DE&I, and they are top three of commonalities and popularity. Women, LGBTQIA plus, disabilities. Next up, can you guess? I ain't gonna make you guess because I was also surprised. Next up is veterans.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
It's veterans.
I'm not surprised.
And so coming strong in fifth place is Black.
Okay.
So often when people think about ERGs, BRG groups, again, they think it's just for Black people. We're number 5.
They think we're at the top.
Yep. And I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. And the reason that people make these statements like DEI must die is because they don't know what they're talking about. And so I just want to set the record straight. If we're talking about BRG groups and ERG groups, first there's women of all ethnicities and races. Then there's and women who identify as women. Then we have LGBTQIA. Then we have disabilities. Then we have veterans. Then we have Black. Then we have Latino, Latinx. Then we have Pan-Asian. And then there's multi-generational. And then there's young professionals. And then there's Indigenous Americans.
Wow. Yeah.
So when we talk about diversity, I just want, like, I'm going to sit back and let you finish talking about diversity, but I just wanted to clear up what we're actually talking about when we're talking about ERGs, BRGs, and affinity groups.
Yeah, no, I think that's important to note because without the actual facts, we'll think in our head that ERG groups or affinity networks, that Black people, we're at the top of the list.
Yeah.
When in actuality, we're not.
Yeah. And again, even though the whole point was for, because of the racial tensions in the United States, the whole point of ERG groups was for Black people to let their needs be known and that sort of thing, so that companies could continue to meet their numbers and increase their bottom line, because we know that, and I'll say this because I believe it, that Black Americans are the backbone of this country as it relates to building and shaping and structuring and all of those things. I know that for sure. And companies know that for sure. And so I want to make sure that we don't forget who is creating this success for all of these Fortune 500 companies at the levels that they are. So as you're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, I'm gonna be quiet because I'm gonna let you go ahead and define equity and inclusion, and then I'll jump back in and give you some more statistics.
That was really important. So when we think about equity, we think about now equality, fairness, equal treatment. And when I was looking up the definition too, I thought about, when little kids are playing and then they say, well, hey, wait, it's not my turn. It's not fair. And they get upset and they go somewhere else, or they get disgruntled. They throw tantrums because they feel like I'm not being treated equally over here. You keep giving the ball to him. What about me?
Yep. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we have to go in order. So that's what I thought, to just make it very plain when we think about equity.
And equity isn't necessarily about fairness. It's about what's just and lawful. And it's about making the playing field level. We know that in the United States, the playing field still isn't level. And we can, maybe we'll save that for February or whatever, but I'm being silly, but we know that it isn't. And so in order for companies to meet their bottom line and to benefit from the talent of all people, the playing field must be level. And we have a long way to go. And so when we talk about equity, actually, let you do inclusion, and then I'll jump back
Then
in.
we get back. So with inclusion, who are we including? Who are we making the environments warm, welcoming? Are we excluding people and saying this is only for this particular group, or this is only for this particular person? Or are we making sure that these environments, and particularly workspaces, are they inclusive of everybody or for everybody? Do people feel like they can be in the space and not be judged, not be harmed, not be again, psychologically they feel comfortable in that space?
Yeah. And so this is where it gets shaky for me. This is where I kind of jump ship. Go ahead. And I'll say this. People may be offended or upset or whatever, but I don't sound really care, but it's just not really, it's how I feel.
We gotta be real.
Yeah, it's what it is. So when we think about high achievers, high performers, raise your hand if you ever finished your test real quick and covered your paper in school, right?
Yeah.
Raise your hand because you did it. You covered your paper.
I'll be honest, I hated those kids who did that.
I was the cover of the paper. I was like, I studied all night and you was playing Nintendo. No, absolutely not. I'm not sharing my answers. Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you this. If I were an adult and I had the foresight to think, okay, I may have some privilege in this. We have electricity. I had a meal last night. I had a coat to wear to cold in school this morning. My neighbor did not have a meal. Maybe they didn't have parents to take care of them. Maybe their mom was working overnight. Their playing field was not level. They didn't have a book at home, right? Because maybe books cost $5. Then, in my mind, equity would be let's study together.
Okay.
Right?
It is. It's true.
It's my opinion.
No. I'm just thinking about your example because you were the person who covered up the paper.
Oh yeah, yes, I covered up my paper. Now, again, that is human instinct. I think if we think about inclusion, being exclusive is a thing that we love, especially in a capitalist society. So let me ask you this. I'll give you some lyrics. You ready for some hip hop lyrics? It's not even real hip hop, but just so if I say check my footwork, what you gonna say? Do you know the other words?
Get your own footwork.
Wait.
Wait.
Wait. Okay, it's okay. I'll do the whole thing for you. It's check my footwork. You ain't got these. Right? I know I'm not the only one who has those lyrics randomly circulating in your head during the day. What I'm saying is...
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm checking the comments.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is exclusivity is a thing. It's human nature. So if we're talking about the psychological standpoint of inclusion, I want to make it very clear. I'm not talking about inclusion in the workplace and making the playing field level as it should be. I'm talking about how we can confabulate the two and make inclusion seem like we should all just be holding hands, like doing things together. So let me make my point even further. If you are in a sorority or fraternity, inclusion is not your thing, right?
Can you break that down?
Absolutely, because there are certain criteria you have to be invited in. There is a certain personality. There's a certain dedication that particular organization is looking for in order to be a part of it. So being exclusive is a thing. if you fly first class, private jet, even Comfort Plus, you are into being exclusive.
Oh man, that's funny. I
Right?
know some people gonna be looking at this like, ooh,
I
that
mean, but
might
it's
be
true
me.
because we get in our feelings like, oh, we should be all we are the world, but it's human nature. It's psychological safety to find your tribe and roll with your tribe. So if your tribe is first class, that's who you're with. We do all kinds of things to be exclusionary. I don't think being exclusionary is a negative thing. I think we should be exclusionary as it relates to lifestyle,
Right.
but not work. That does not belong at work. And I think that's where we mix it up, right? Especially if you're getting federal dollars. You
Right.
can't just say you can't sit with us. That's not how it works. If you want to be exclusionary, go join a golf club somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about that. I was having a conversation a couple hours ago at the barbershop. We were talking about where you sit and I want to
Mhm.
be with this group, and I got mixed up with this group, and I'm like, nah, like they were exactly what you said. When it comes to lifestyle choices, you may
Yes.
want to, like if you go to a football game, maybe you want to, be in a suite
The
or
box seats,
a box seat. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. It's so let me just break it down in it even further.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever gotten into the VIP line at a club, bar, or lounge, you like to be exclusionary. If you've ever bought a table with your crew at homecoming, you like to be exclusionary. And so, what I'm saying is, it's human nature to want to separate into your own tribe. That's not a bad thing. And I think we get all up in arms when we pay attention to headlines and all these buzzwords. And what do they call it when headlines try to like grab you?
The
Clickbait.
clickbait. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, y'all, we're smarter than that. You don't have to get pulled into clickbait. You don't have to like go march because somebody said they don't want you wearing their leggings.
yeah.
Like,
So I want to. I don't know if you saw the comment. A friend of mine.
I didn't see it.
Well, it wasn't not live, but under the post, uh, one of my boys, David Tinsley, he wrote, "I'm not against diversity, but it should never be prioritized over merit." Did you see that
Agreed.
one?
Agreed. I absolutely and so this is what I say. Yes, 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 and yes. Now the problem is that I'll give you the statistic.
Mm-hmm.
When companies were surveyed, only 50% of workers, and this is across races, say that DE&I is a good thing. Only 53%. So 40, what's the math? For the other
47.
people,
So 47.
47% are like, nah, well, no, thank you. It's not doing anything good. And let me tell you why I think, from a psychological perspective, that that's the case. Because people don't know what they're talking about. They don't even know what DE&I is. They don't know the benefits. And companies have been so lazy that 61% have not received any DE&I training. So it's like you're asking employees for a buy-in, but nobody's telling them what it is. Nobody's training. Nobody's saying how this will benefit you and your tribe, right?
So
Nobody's
essentially,
saying,
you're giving somebody a test on something that they have no knowledge about. So of course they're failing and
yeah,
saying, no, you know what? Let's
I
do
don't want
away
none of
with
that.
this.
If somebody told me without any context,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. RJ, you have to go to the airport and stand in the regular security line from now until forever.
Right.
I don't want no parts of that.
Not the pre-check
Not the preacher, the regular line.
or the clear. Not the if you can't
Not
get
the
it.
clear, not the regular line. I don't want no parts of that. I just don't. No, like count me out. Now, somebody said, Dr. RJ, we need you to stand in this line for 6 months because we need the help of those who can be in the other line to show different ways or to help innovate or to make the playing field levered or whatever. I can't think of a
Right.
specific example. Then that would be different for me. I'd be like, oh, okay, this means something.
Because there's
There is an
reason
outcome.
behind it.
Yeah, you're not just trying to inconvenience me or possibly put someone above me for some unknown reason. The issue is companies have been lazy. They've just been checking off the box to get federal dollars or to make themselves look good without actually training on DE&I and actually letting everyone know. We're not just talking about race, but letting everyone know the benefits of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Inclusion is not, we're not talking about marketing. So another thing I think that we get confused about, Jason, is that companies don't have to market to everybody, right? That has nothing to do with DE&I.
To everybody.
They should not, Mark. I will tell you now, I turn clients down every day. Everybody is not for me. Everybody is not for my program. There is a specific type of person who would be successful working with me. It ain't for everybody else. As a matter of fact, I put my marketing so that they'll know. I will deter them and say, I'm not for you. That's marketing. That has nothing to do with the DE&I part of the inclusion part of DEI on the company side. And I think we, again, confabulate the two and think that everybody should be able to. I'm not going to say that. Go ahead.
I want to say we should probably talk about some of the benefits of DE&I because I don't think people really truly know.
Yes.
Yeah, and let me finish this comment too before we get into that. So what David also said, which was good, he said, so the question becomes, how do we achieve diversity without compromising a meritocracy?
Yes. Well, we start. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. The right thing done in the wrong way always results in disaster.
Absolutely. We start, so this isn't a problem we can fix right away, but we start by starting at the primary level of leveling out the playing field very early on. So with reading programs, with exposure, with mentoring and sponsorship at an early age in companies, making sure that early career professionals are prepared and that we don't throw them into the lion's den and expect them to thrive without giving them the very basic skills that they may have missed out on because the playing field is not level. So we start there at the primary level. Now, if you are one of the privileged few, then it is your responsibility to mentor in some type of way and use your experiences to help someone else. I think that's all, including me, of course, but I think that's all of us. It is our responsibility then at the primary level to at least help in that space. Now, if we're talking about meritocracy, again, it can get tricky because merit can't be based upon one person starting here and one person starting here. Like that's not real merit. Real merit is like this and then go. And that's tricky.
That makes me think about the exercise. I can't think of the name of the exercise where, everybody stands in a straight line and then you take a step forward or step backward depending on
your privilege.
On your privilege, right? So then somebody could end up way in the front and then somebody could end up way in the back.
And that's not meritocracy.
Exactly. But so I think that we don't always think about that. You could be starting, much further or behind somebody else. So then it's not meritocracy.
Yeah. Yep. And so as we're talking about the benefits of ERGs, I will say this: when I was looking to see, okay, what companies are really doing this? Now, I work with some companies who do it really well, like they rock it out. They have their CFOs in the ERG, in the affinity groups. They have their directors and their, the people who make decisions. They're right there alongside their employees. Even if they don't match the description of the ERG group, then they're still there to show we support this, we believe in this. That's the number one thing that has to happen. There has to be buy-in from the whole company, from the top down. Shame on you if you're at the top and you can't make time to support DE&I efforts in your company when you know that DE&I makes your bottom line like big. Right? You know this.
I wonder too if some companies don't know that their COOs or CFOs should be in those meetings? Because
Well, let me tell them they should be.
well, yeah, because I've worked with some and they're not there, and they are
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we don't want to let this be your space or their space." So I
And
think that they're
so let
misinformed.
me
Go ahead.
depending on the size of the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
CEOs, CFOs, they have fancy stuff to do. I don't really care about that. You have to make time. If you're relying on these people for your stocks, for your quality of life,
Mm-hmm.
for your investment, for your salary, you have to figure out how to make it part of the priority and to make it just as important as everything else. Even if it's 10 minutes, even if your assistant sends a quick, good luck today, everyone, from Mrs. CEO or whatever,
Right.
something.
Right. Something.
Because there has to be full buy-in. Now, I was looking to see what type of companies do the best. And
Mm-hmm.
so 90% of Fortune 500 companies have ERGs or affinity groups. 90%, which is very telling when we talk about the benefits of having employee resource groups and BRGs when they're done correctly, right? 90%.
And I can see
Go
that
ahead.
because when people feel like the company understands their needs,
Yeah.
they're gonna stay longer. So you're gonna have a lower turnover rate, and then their productivity is gonna go through the roof, and
Mm-hmm.
the engagement and job satisfaction, the research says that will also be higher.
So companies lose, it's some crazy, like hundreds of billions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
due to disengaged employees every year
Right.
just in the US. So this is just like, to me, it's like common sense. Like, if we really understood what DE&I is, nobody would be out there saying DE&I must die.
Yeah.
The issue comes from companies being lazy and just checking off the box and not really integrating it into the culture of the company. Now, the ones who use DE&I the most are finance companies. They're at the
Mm-hmm.
very top. And again, that's very telling because they know about the bottom line. They understand that diversity is what makes companies really, really good.
Mm. It's so interesting you say that too, because I think you would think that other companies, not finance, but they would get it right.
Yeah. And somebody ain't doing something right. And I think it can be a lot of different factors, but if we're talking about what we can do as
Mm-hmm.
professionals, as psychologists and mental health professionals and people who have a voice, use your voice to do as much as you can in your workplace or even in your own company to discuss how diversity helps everybody. We're not talking about, making a table just for this certain amount of people just because we feel sorry for them. That's not what this is. And if we don't train properly on DEI, if those experts, because that's not my area of expertise, my area of expertise is burnout, and
Mm-hmm.
my method or my most effective place is through ERG and BRG groups, right? But there are DE&I experts out there who can do a better job and stop being so scary. Like, say something.
And I'll say this too, because I've done, we both done quite a bit of work with ERGs, BRGs, CRGs, and I've noticed that too. A lot of times they're underfunded or under resourced.
Yes,
And
agreed.
then you probably seen this too, where some of the members of those groups, they get tired, they get burned out when the COOs or CFOs are not
Yes.
present. And then they say, you know what? I'm out of here.
Yep.
I'm
Because there is like they can't even do their own job because again they're underfunded. There's not a participation. It doesn't work if the whole company doesn't buy in. It doesn't work if everybody's not rooting for it. It
right.
doesn't work if everybody doesn't understand why this is important.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a buy-in.
The ERGs, they can't just get the scraps. Like, oh, this is what we
Mm-mm.
have left in the budget, so we'll give this to you guys. That's not gonna work.
And a lot of companies are doing the scraps right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
for real?
But then you feel that you like, wait, that's not. I don't even feel. I'm yes, you check the box, but I don't really feel included.
Yeah. So I personally will not work with companies who do not prioritize their ERG and BRG groups. And the way I know that is through their funding and budgeting. And so I'm not going to be a part of the checkbox system. I'm not. I may be like, well, you know what? Just give everybody a copy of Executive Burnout. Like, let's
Right.
start there. Start there. Because
Yeah.
you're not about to have my name all up and through this checkbox stuff. And then your employees, your underrepresented minorities are overworked, burned out, nobody listens to them. Like, I can't be a part of that. Get somebody else to do it. So anyhow, that's neither here nor there. So outside of my rant, Jason, what words of calm wisdom can you give to our audience about what they can do, then how they can be empowered as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion in their own lives and workspaces and psychological safety, like those types of things?
The two words that stand out are educate and engage. So you want to take this information and do your own research as well, but educate the key stakeholders, as we say, or the persons who have the decision makers. Educate them on what you all need. So don't just have meetings or have different initiatives amongst yourselves. Make sure that your voices are heard. And as you mentioned, that means going higher up. And the second one is engage. And when I think about engage in mentorship. Like there's so many things that we can do or you can do to help somebody else. And we don't always understand that even if you've been at a company for X amount of years or in this position for maybe it's 3 years, help the new person who's only been there for 3 days. Advocate for them because you never know what somebody else is going through, how they're struggling, and how you being there for them could really just change the trajectory of them at that company and their lives at large.
Agreed. And because I'm the one who covered up her paper, I'm going to say, don't show up raggedy. Like, you
Right,
can't
right,
show
right.
up raggedy expecting someone to mentor you or put their name on you or sponsor you. And so I'm not saying you have to show up knowing it all. I'm not saying you have to show up perfect, but show up with integrity, with authenticity, with a strong work ethic. Show up not burned out. Like,
Right. Yeah.
have some boundaries about yourself. Overdoing it, branding yourself as the go-to person or as the workhorse, that is not sustainable. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to show up rested, enthusiastic, and while you're there, do what you need to do. And then when you leave, have your life. So it's like, be where your feet are. Show up as the best version of yourself. The only way you can do that is if you're not burned out. And if you are practicing the art of balance, which is authenticity, relentless rest, and time consciousness.
I love it. This is good. This is good. I'm checking to see if we have any other comments. Dr.
Yeah.
RJ, I'm glad you decided to talk about this. I think
So let me tell you, I was like, if I see this one more time, so people were sending it to me. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, not I don't care, but I don't like, okay, let me just say this. I do study billionaires. Okay. It's just what I do. And when I look at profiles of billionaires, many billionaires really have they weren't spoon-fed. It wasn't a silver spoon. They really have worked hard to get to where they are. Of course, there's privilege and there's this and there's that. I get that. I'm not ignorant of that. But what I'm saying is there is a level of hard work, tenacity, and a fear of not being a billionaire again. And so when I think about people who are making these statements, they live in a whole different world. Like it's a different world. And their worldview is going to be different in a lot of ways. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't really care about that, right? What I do care is about what companies are actually doing, not what they say they're doing, because often you'll see these more liberal, everybody hold hands companies. They're not doing what they say they're doing. It's marketing, it's rhetoric, it's like just trying to get people to shush and settle down. And
That's
so
not good either, though.
no, it's awful. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I'm like, like
Right.
I'm side-eyeing all of it. I'm side-eyeing the ones who are saying it out loud and the ones whose actions don't show behind it. What I'm saying is we have to be more informed, well-read, and really like getting into the weeds of these things instead of being so reactive, and not getting the big story, because being reactive is a distraction, right? And so we're like, oh, well, let's boycott this leggings place because they only make leggings for rich, skinny people. I mean, what's if that's who they want to make leggings for? Who cares? That has nothing to do with DE&I. Nothing.
You know, it would be so funny, I guess, if somebody does boycott a certain company, but then they find out when they do the research that company is actually doing things the right way, but we just didn't take the time to research it.
That happens a lot. And what also happens when I look at some of these boycotts is that they'll boycott a company and not understand that the CEO or the CFO or someone in charge is an underrepresented minority. And so we'll do it based upon what the clickbait is and not know the damage that's happening all the way through. Or they may not understand that, okay, this particular company does this for this community like every year. If we boycott them, then this free lunch program is going to be away. And this, like, I think we have to be more informed. I'm not saying don't boycott, like, if that's your thing, do your thing, right? We all have different ways of impacting the world. It's not my way. My way is through education and through financial freedom. And so everybody has their own way. There's no wrong way to do it. But I will say we all need to be well informed and save the emotions for your group chat. Like, save it for your group chat.
So you got to use some wise mind when you making these statements.
Yeah. And I always want to know more, like, that sounds a little crazy. Let me look into that. Well, what else? Well, what is this linked to? What is that linked to? And then I may call somebody who's an expert in the area. What do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And again, that's then how I form my own opinion. I want to have a so back in grad school, there was a thing that we talked about all the time in our research classes that talked about being a critical consumer of literature, right? And so I'm wired that way. I'm a critical consumer of everything. Everything gets the side eye. Everything, all of it, good, bad, like all of it gets the side eye, because I need to know who's funding this, what's the message behind it, what's really under it. Like, all of those things are important. So I could talk all night about this, but if we're just to be in the interest of time and our listeners, so we don't lose them, I will say that something you can do to make an impact today, right, is to focus on your own self mastery. How are you showing up every single day? What are you doing to improve yourself? What are you doing to increase your visibility? What are you doing to show your talents? Are you silencing yourself? Are you being so humble that nobody knows how amazing you are? Like, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Like, show up with the gifts that you have. Be brave about them. Be bold about them. Most people have not had a big red easy button, if we're talking about high achievers, for their lives. Like, it counts for something that you are where you are. Stop hiding. Stop making yourself small. It's not serving anybody. So if you don't remember anything else, I would say focus on your own self-mastery. Show up as your authentic self, the highest version of yourself. Show up and show out, and then research the rest.
Right. Love it, man. Dr. RJ, this is another good one. Oh, we got to talk about the freebies.
Yes, talk about the freebies. So as we're talking about self-mastery, I love to give gifts. Gifts is my second love language. And so if you comment the word DEI, it's an acronym, not word. Y'all know what I'm saying. Don't do me like that. DEI. you can get a free self-mastery ebook. We'll send it right over to you. All you have to do is just comment DEI. So whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or in a Facebook group or wherever, comment DEI and we'll send you over a free self-mastery ebook, and it can show you and give you tips on ways to show up as the best version of yourself. I do this work every day, so it seems kind of easy for me, right? I do it every day. I eat, sleep, and breathe self-mastery. However, I am aware that it's not a common thing. And so I want to make sure that I'm offering some easy steps on you to get started for your journey of self-mastery. And of course, all of that leads to authenticity, relentless rest, time consciousness, so that you can be balanced and not burned out.
Listen, I gotta get fancy and get the comment with the word, but what y'all can do to get your free confidence guide, go to stepstoconfidence.com, and you will have your free confidence guide there.
If they DM you, will you send it directly to them?
Yeah, I can do that.
Where are they? Are they going to DM you on Instagram or Facebook? Which one? Facebook
They can
Messenger?
do Instagram. If
Okay.
if y'all DM me on Instagram, I'll send it directly.
So if they're watching the replay and they're DMing you on Instagram, what do they need to say?
Confidence.
Yep, confidence.
Just DM confidence.
All right.
Yeah.
Jason, I'm glad we're back.
I'm really glad. It seemed like it was just too long because we took December off, didn't we? Because of the holidays. So
I don't
this
work
was
on
good.
holidays.
Yeah, that was. Oh, I could tell y'all had fun in Mexico.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah,
it was so good. I'm ready to go back again.
Yeah, but no, it's good to be back. It feels good to be home.
All right. Well, we're gonna love y'all and leave y'all. It was fun. We'll be back again next month, but just stay tuned. We'll tell y'all what we're going to talk about. Just stay tuned. So make sure you're following me on Instagram at AskDrRJ or Facebook AskDrRJ. And Jason?
Follow me at JPhillipsMSW.
All right, y'all. Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.